My fiancée, Mia, and I have been together for 3 years. She is actually my first serious girlfriend since middle school. I will honestly admit that I was not very respectful to women during my teenage years and 20s, and I often took advantage of them. I'm sharing this to explain how I behaved in the past. Mia is aware of my past and has come to accept it. We met at work, and she initially disliked me because she saw through my behavior. After I pursued her for nearly a year, she finally agreed to go on a date with me, and the rest is history. We have been living together for 2 years now, and I have become very close to her parents, and she also loves my family. The past 3 years have been the best of my life, and I am excited to spend the rest of my life with her. This weekend, her cousin and her family are visiting. Mia is very close with her cousin Rachel. It's surprising that I hadn't met her before. I was always busy during the few times she visited in the last 3 years. I finally met Rachel and her husband for dinner at Mia's parents' house. Rachel stared at me with wide eyes, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she looked familiar. We were all being introduced and Rachel seemed to be acting normally, but she kept staring at me whenever she could. Mia's parents then arrived with Rachel's young son, who is 5 years old. As I looked at the child and Rachel, the only thought that came to mind was that the boy looked very much like me when I was his age, with some resemblance to Rachel. I suddenly remembered that I took Rachel home from a bar about 6 years ago. I also recall persuading her not to use protection after I showed her my blood work. I was a nervous mess for the rest of dinner, and I think Rachel realized this from her looks at me and the boy. The even more troubling part is that Rachel might have been visiting Mia the weekend I took her home. They likely had a girls' night out with their friends, and I took Rachel home. Mia might have been at the same bar that night. Mia asked me if I was okay, and I just told her I wasn't feeling well. I took 6 days off work yesterday and today. I don't know what to do. Rachel isn't saying anything, and I have no idea if she was married at the time. I don't ask Mia because I am reluctant to raise any suspicions. I'm not even sure how I feel about possibly being a father. I'm 95% sure this child is mine since he doesn't resemble Rachel's husband at all. Should I stay silent? I never cheated on Mia, but she knows about my past, and it took her a while to get over my previous relationships. I don't know how she would react if she found out I might have fathered a child with her cousin before we met. I love Mia deeply, but she is very sensitive about things she considers trashy or low class. I honestly think she might leave me if she found out I had a child with her cousin. I can't lose her. She is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Relevant comments from OOP. My only goal is to keep Mia. Honestly, with the way I've been feeling these last few days, nothing else matters. My ideal situation is for Mia to stay with me, that's all that matters. I will do anything to make sure she remains by my side. I'm not sure how I feel about the child. He seemed content with his family. They reside in another state. Mia is considering having children in the future, maybe in 3 to 4 years. I checked Mia's calendar for the child's birthday, and the timing fits. This is troubling. Relevant comment. A Reddit user says, I'm guessing many of the people commenting here are men. I'm a 52-year-old woman. One of the key aspects of any relationship for me and many others is trust. Honesty, trust, and supporting each other are crucial. This is why women sometimes can't forgive infidelity. It's not about the intimacy. It's about the breach of trust. If you were my partner, I would want you to come to me first before Rachel. You might say, I need to share something that's really stressing me out. Remember how I mentioned I had a lot of irresponsible drunken intimacy a few years ago? When I met Rachel the other night, she looked familiar. I'm very ashamed to admit this, but I believe I had an encounter with her. I'm not sure if she recognized me, but I had the impression that she was observing me in an unusual way. The situation was causing me so much anxiety that I lied and said I was unwell. That wasn't entirely untrue, as I felt nauseous, and I'm still very distressed about this. I can't bear to lose you, but I can't lie to you either. Please help me figure out what to do. Then let her process this with you. Let her express her feelings while you deal with your own emotions. If you follow the advice of trying to manage the situation secretly and talking to Rachel behind Mia's back, you might create more problems. It's not just about the mistake, it's about how you handle it. If you talk to Rachel, discover that you are the biological father, and then reveal this to your girlfriend, she will likely doubt your honesty. She will question what you knew, when you knew it, how you feel about Rachel, and when you last had contact with her, among other things. If you want to continue your life with Mia, you need to go to her and ask for her help. If she decides to end the relationship, she would be leaving you for something you had already shared with her, your past behavior, and if she forgave it once, she might do so again. At the moment, you are in the most understandable position possible. You have been honest with Mia about your past, and you shouldn't start lying now. You didn't turn your back on your child or the child's mother. You were not aware. If this child is yours, you were not notified at the time. Considering Mia and Rachel's close relationship, if Rachel experienced a pregnancy and kept it hidden from the biological father, Mia might know about it and be aware that the biological father wasn't notified. Oscar Wilde once said, unawareness can be like a fragile bloom once disturbed, its beauty fades. For women, trust is very perceptive of small changes in their partner's expressions. If you find out anything and hide it from her for 24 hours while you think it over, she will likely sense that you are not being truthful and might feel you don't trust her. She might still be wondering what was happening with you at the event. Should you take any action other than go to Mia first, you are likely to make things worse. Believe that your partner can care for you enough to work through this with you. Tell her as soon as possible before Rachel comes forward and says something. If Rachel is presenting your biological child as her husband's child, she might take defensive actions, or she might tell your girlfriend it's you, which would explain why you acted unwell at the party. Don't take risks. Go to her, ask for her forgiveness, and seek her help. As others have suggested, if you and this child share DNA, there is a high chance that the child might find out eventually. Address the issue now. Update 1. After 3 days of staying home and feeling anxious about this situation, I finally told Mia late last night following my last post. I am very grateful to the user who commented, as that advice gave me the courage to be honest. It was very emotional for me, and I cried throughout the conversation with Mia, expressing how much I don't want to live without her. She held my hands while we were in bed and listened patiently as I explained how I recognized Rachel, remembered our night together, and how seeing that child made me realize that my future with Mia was at risk. She told me she was upset that I didn't tell her immediately after we left her parents' place, and that I should never keep something like this from her again, but she understood that I was scared. She said she is not leaving me because I have never betrayed her in the 3 years we have been together, and we will work through this situation as well. She also said she would reach out to Rachel to find out what's going on because Rachel has been with her husband for 10 years, and if she was my one-night stand from years ago, it means she was unfaithful. Following this, we faced an even more difficult conversation about the things I've done in my past, and whether there are any more surprises she needs to be aware of. She acknowledged that I had been promiscuous and somewhat reckless, but we had tried to ignore the past when we started our relationship because we both wanted a fresh start. After this situation, she feels that might have been a mistake, so she wants to know everything in detail now, but we can have that conversation another time. I don't feel great about this, but I will address this challenge when it arises. Mia has been at home with me, trying to contact Rachel since morning, but has been met with complete silence. Finally, Rachel texted her, "Please just let it go." Mia asked if they could have a brief conversation or even communicate via text, but Rachel insisted on just letting it go. I assume Rachel realized I had told Mia all the details. We are uncertain about the next steps. We have decided to respect Rachel's wishes and not pursue the matter further. Rachel has also altered her RSVP to our wedding invitation to a decline. Mia is somewhat upset about this, but honestly, I am okay with this result. We had always intended to relocate from the United States in a few years anyway. I received many messages suggesting I should remain silent, and I was actually considering that option, but the stress was physically affecting me. Thank you all for the advice, it is greatly appreciated. Relevant comments. A Reddit user says, "Now you are considering this properly. You have to think about what is best for everyone involved. You face conflicting moral issues, the entitlement of the father to learn the truth, and the well-being of the child, not in terms of responsibility, but knowing that your decision will impact the child. I'm not sure what the right choice is, but it is not unreasonable to consider that keeping the child's life stable might be important. Is this more important than the husband's right to be informed? I'm not sure, but ignore anyone saying that this is an obvious choice because the father's right to know is the only important factor and he is the child's father, although he would have the right to choose not to be involved if he learned the truth. The best outcome for the child is that no one else ever discovers this. Trying to achieve that best outcome is a reasonable option." OOP. Thank you for your post. This is also how we are trying to view the situation. It's a difficult situation, but we are trying to make our decision with the child's best interest in mind. A Reddit user says, "If you raise this issue with the husband, it will have a huge impact on the child's life. Don't listen to anyone advising you to do this. It's incredibly selfish and misguided. It will lead to a complete family breakdown and also affect extended family. Mia's parents might view you differently. The last thing you need is to reveal this over a suspicion that this child might be yours. Reddit seems overly eager for you to disrupt multiple families and a child's life over a suspicion. Let me explain it clearly. You don't know for certain that you are the father. You only think you might be. In truth, you do not have confirmation yet. This situation is entirely Rachel's responsibility. You have done your part, and Mia now knows. There are no secrets between you two, and she can use this information as she sees fit. Rachel's relationship with her child is her concern. She may feel the need to find out the truth, or she may not. It is not your place to interfere. You are not this child's father, and you don't even know him. The advice you're getting from Reddit is bad. Don't follow it. Imagine if you discuss this with her spouse, he might leave as he believes you. The child is devastated because the father is no longer in his life, not to mention Mia's family might be upset with you, only for it to later be revealed that you are not the father. OOP, you did the right thing by telling Mia. If Rachel wants to move past this, and if Mia agrees, then let it be. Do not confront anyone about this. You don't have all the facts, even if you think you do. The only information you have is that Rachel had an affair with you about 6 years ago. The uncertainty lies in whether this child is yours. Don't assume that you are. OOP. This is also how Mia and I are viewing the situation. Comments from OOP. Comment 1. Honestly, it's possible that Rachel's husband knows about her infidelity and they have moved past it, and she doesn't want to revisit it. She didn't really want to discuss it with us, so we don't know. I am trying to move forward without causing harm to anyone. Comment 2. I agree that the situation is complicated, and I would want to know if my partner ever cheated. However, revealing this could likely destroy a happy family. Rachel and her husband are both very successful and live in a wealthy area where they can provide the best for the child. Meanwhile, Mia and I are still advancing our careers and just starting our lives together. Regarding concerns about whether I care about the child, yes, I do. I saw a reflection of myself in him, but I don't know him personally. I am fine with staying out of his life for now and seeing him only through Facebook pictures. If in the future he finds out and wants to find me, we can deal with that then. For now, I am content to start my life with Mia. I hope this doesn't seem heartless. I am truly considering what is best for him. Edit, just to clarify. Here is my explanation regarding blood work and birth control. I did not pressure her. I asked for the information and showed her my latest blood work on my phone. Medical labs now send your results through email. She said she was also clean, and that was the end of it. This was a very careless mistake on my part, but I was a different person back then. Final update. I have received numerous messages requesting an update. Since then, Mia and Rachel have been communicating since my last update. Mostly, Rachel has been apologizing for not attending our ceremony. Additionally, she sent us both wedding and holiday gifts, which was very kind of her. Mia did not press her for details but left the door open for a conversation whenever Rachel felt ready. A few days before Christmas, Rachel called Mia via FaceTime and shared everything. At the time, Rachel and her husband were experiencing problems in their marriage. He was involved in an emotional relationship with a coworker, leading to a temporary separation before they reconciled. During their separation, Rachel and I had a brief encounter. She told Mia that I was the only person she was involved with during that time. After discovering she was pregnant, Rachel and her husband decided to get back together. Since they had been trying to have a child without success, they chose to raise the baby as their own. Rachel mentioned that she told her husband about the situation, which created some issues in their marriage. They are working through these problems now, although her husband knew about an anonymous man. Seeing me in person and realizing I am that person has been challenging for him, making him feel insecure. Consequently, he prefers that we never meet or interact again. While I was listening from behind the camera, I asked Rachel if this meant I would never meet the child. She only responded with an apology. Rachel and Mia have continued to communicate, and it seems Rachel and her husband will manage with time. We now need to coordinate so that we avoid overlapping at family gatherings, though Mia and Rachel have already planned to meet up. As for Mia and me, we are managing well. We had a significant argument a few days after the previous post was made. Mia wanted detailed information about my past, which felt very intense at one point. She expressed regret and said she wished she had fallen in love with someone else, which was painful to hear. However, she apologized the next morning, and we have been improving since then. I believe our relationship is stronger now that she knows everything. I also decided never to use genetic testing services offered by various companies. I have secured a much better paying remote job. Mia will discuss with her boss the possibility of converting to full remote work, which we think is feasible. We might be moving earlier than we had planned. That's all for now. Thank you to everyone who offered advice, particularly after the initial post. What we learn from this story is that no matter what happens, we should be honest with our partner, and it's best that he or she hears anything that could sabotage your relationship from your own mouth. He or she probably won't trust you if they hear something like what happened with Oop from another source.